Hi everyone, it's Sorkin. Today we have a problem when we are given an array prices where each index represents the value of a stock for each day. So for example, in this case, the value of a stock at the day 1 is 1, at the day 2 is 2, day 3 is 3, and the day 4 is 0. So what we need to do is we need to return the maximum profit given these days. At each day we can have only one transaction at the time. That's the first requirement. Another important requirement is that after selling a stock, we need to have one cooldown day. So for example, if let's say that we bought at the day 1 and the sell at the day 2, at the day 3 we need to have a cooldown. We cannot buy a new stock. We can buy a new stock only at the day 4. So for example, in this case, if we are buying a stock at the day 1, selling at the day 2, we have a cooldown at the day 3. Day 4 we are buying a stock, and at the day 5, at the last day, we are selling. So our maximum profit in this case is that's the option where we are making maximum profit in this case, and we are returning 3. So let's take one more example, one more simpler example. Let's say that we have only 3 days, and the first day is the price for the stock is 1, at the second 2, and the third is 3. And let's just break down this problem and see that what are our options for each day. So for example, let's say that at the day 1, what are our options? So at the day 1, so we can either buy a stock. So we are buying a stock, so that means that our total max profit is -1 because we are buying that, right? And we are defining two variables, bought and the sold. So if we are buying a stock, so we are setting that the bought to true, so which means that we are holding a stock at the moment, and we are at sold, we are if we just sold the stock, so we are setting sold that to true. So at the beginning, when we start the day 1, both of them are false. As we buy a stock, so we setting the bought to true, and the sold is still false. So we can go to day 2, so with the bought is true and the sold is false. So by buying the first option for us is to buy at the day 1. That's the first option. The second option is we are skipping, so which means that we are not buying anything at the day 1. So which means that we are going to day 2. So our bought is equals to false, and our sold is equals to also false. And the next one is that at the day 2, what are the other options? The first option is that if we bought at the day 1, so right, if we that was the first option for us. If we bought at the day 1, so which means that our bought is equals to true and our sold is equals to false. If that is the case, so what options do we have? First one is that we are selling our stock, right? So +2, so which means that our total max profit is equals to 1. So we are either can sell a stock, so which means that the day 3 we will go with the bought is equals to false and the sold is equals to true, because we just sold it, so we are setting sold to true. And another one, we are holding it, so we are not selling a stock. So in that case our bought is equals still the bought is true and the sold is false. And another option is that at the day 2 we can either, if both of them are false, which means that we haven't bought at the day 1, so at the day 2 we either buying, or at the day 2 we are also skipping, so which means that we are not buying anything. That's the only options that we have at the day 1 and the day 2. How about the day 3? At the day 3 we have how many options at the day 3 we have? At the day 3, if we bought at the day 1 and the sold at the day 2, so which means that our bought is equals to false and the sold is equals to true. In that case, we have only one option. The option is that we need to have a cooldown, right? We need to have a cooldown day. So, and that was the last day. That's the end. So the next one is that if our bought is true and the sold is equals to false, so which means that we have bought either at the day 1 and the day 2, we can either sell our stock again, and or we can hold it, right? That's the two options that we have. And the last one is that if we haven't bought anything at the day 1 and the day 2, then in that case, again, the options that we have is to either buy or skip, right? Not to buy at the day 3 again. So that's it. That's the all options that we have, that even if we had the day 4, day 5, and so on, so that's the options for each day that we have, that we can have. To generalize that, to put that into function, so what we are going to do is we are defining two variables, bought and sold, and we are defining a day, and at each day we are checking that if we bought that, right, if we bought at the previous step, so what are the options for us? The option is that we can either sell profit, or we can hold, and whichever is that generating more profit, and we are taking the maximum profit, right? So we are defining a variable max profit, and in the max profit we are checking, we are recursively calling for the so basically we are generating all the options. If we bought, we can either sell or we can hold. Whichever is generating more profit, we are updating our max profit. And the next one is that if bought is equals to false, so which means that we have two options. In this case, we are checking sold. If that is if sold is equals to true, which means that we have sold in the previous day, the only option for us is to just skip that day, right? The only option for us is just skip that day, because we need to have a cooldown. We need to have a cooldown day. If not, then it means that we have two options. We can again either buy at that day. So if we can buy at the day, or we just skip, so we are not buying at that day. Again, we are checking that these two options, right, buy and the skip, and we are checking that whichever is returning the max profit, we are taking that, and at the end we are returning our max profit. Okay, first thing that we do here, we are creating a memo dictionary, and we are calling our generate tree function. And the way we are passing our prices, we are passing our bought, two variables that we have seen earlier, and the false, and we are passing the day that we are in, and we are passing our memo dictionary. So we are passing our memo dictionary. So what we do is we are setting our base case if the day is more than equal to if that more than or equal to length of so we are going beyond the size of our array, then in that case we are returning false. And the next one is that we are generating our key for our dictionary, which is the day and the bought and the sold, these two combinations, right? If that already exists in our dictionary, so which means that in our memo dictionary, so which means that in the dictionary, so in that case we are just returning that value, right? There is no need to generate the same branch again. And the next step is that what we do is we are defining our max profit, which is equals to 0 at the beginning. So as we have seen earlier, right? So what we do is we are generating tree of all possible solutions. So we are checking that if bought is equals to true, then in that case we have two options. The first option is that if bought is equals to true, so we can sell that, so which means that we are adding to our maximum profit, right? So we are adding that date, the value of the stock to our maximum profit, and we are recursively calling. If we are going to the next day, and recursively, so we are setting that sold to true, and we are setting bought to false, and we are going to the next day. If we are holding, then in that case we are going to the next day, which means that we are not selling that, we are not making any profit. We are going to the next day, and our bought is equals to true, and the sold is equals to false, and we are going to the next day. And so we are generating for these two options, right? If our bought is equals to true, this is the two options that we have. So we are generating, so we are getting the value. So we are getting that value if at this point we are decide to sell or hold. So we are getting the max, so we are getting these two values, and we are taking whatever the maximum is and updating our max profit. Next one is that if our bought is equals to false, then in that case we are checking first if the sold is equals to true, which means that we sold, right? So we just sold in the previous step, so which means that at this step we have only one option, right? So we are updating our max profit, so we have only one option, which is that go to cool down, right? So we are setting that to both are we are setting to false, and we are having a so that day is the cooldown, so we are going to the next day. And then else if the bot is equals to false and if the sold is equals to false, then in that case what options we have? We can either buy, right, at that day, then we are setting bot to true, and we are subtracting from our max profit because we are buying, right? So we are spending money. So and we are skipping. If we are skipping, then we are just we are setting that again both the false bot and the sold, and whichever is generates the maximum profit. So we are updating our maximum profit from this. So we are taking whatever the maximum is that from buy profit or the skip profit, and we are setting that to our max profit. And at the end, so once we exit this loop, right, so once we exit once we exit this if statement, then we are updating our memo with our max profit, which we are returning. So what's the time and space complexity in this case? The time complexity is all multiplied by 2. So how many options we can have for each case, right? For each case we have 2 variables, right? We have bought and sold, and the states that they can be in is false and the true for both, right? So which means that the 2 cases, so the n multiplied by 2, so 4n, so we can disregard the 4 part, so we are going to generate 4n possible options. We are not going to generate them again and again because we are using a memoization here. We are using a dynamic programming, so we are going to store that for the day starting from the certain day and the certain value of the bought and the sold, we have already solved that problem, so we are not going to keep solving them again. We are going to store that into memoization, into our cache. Basically we are going to return that value. So that's why our time complexity is of n. So the space complexity is we are using again the cache here, and the maximum size of that could be the size of our input. So the space complexity is of n in this case. I have also identical solution in Java. I will include that into description. That's it for today. Hope you like my content. If you like it, please hit the like button and subscribe my channel. See you next time. Bye.